So are you ready to really dive deep into the world of real estate? Today we're tackling a career that's kind of got this cool mystique, but also a reputation for being seriously competitive. We're talking property acquisitions managers, and we've got some amazing insights from RoleCatcher. They're this career development platform that's doing some seriously cool things in the industry. This deep dive is going to give you the inside scoop on what it takes to not just survive, but really thrive in this career.
Right. Everyone thinks it's all just fancy suits and signing big checks, right? But it's so far from that.
Okay, so for those of us who don't speak real estate, paint us a picture. What does a typical day even look like for a property acquisitions manager?
Imagine, okay, you're checking out this kind of rundown apartment complex. Maybe the neighborhood's on the up and up. Maybe not. It screams risky investment, right? But then you start digging into the financials, the neighborhood trends, you think about renovations, and boom, hidden potential, just waiting for someone with the vision to unlock it. That's what these managers do. They see opportunity where other people just see like a fixer-upper.
It's almost like having X-ray vision in the real estate world.
You could say that. It's not just buying properties. It's about strategy, negotiation, and knowing how to manage risk. One day you could be deep in spreadsheets, figuring out a property's, what's it called? Net operating income.
NOI, for those of us who don't speak fluent real estate acronyms.
Right, NOI. Basically, it tells you how profitable a property is likely to be. You got to factor in all the income it brings in minus the expenses of actually running the place. It's a huge deal when you're deciding whether to buy or not.
So it's not as easy as strolling down the street and saying, "Ooh, I like that building, I'll take it."
Definitely not. There's a ton of financial analysis involved and a good bit of legal expertise, too. Another day, you might be figuring out zoning laws for a new development, haggling with sellers, or working with lawyers to make sure everything closes smoothly. It's more than just picking out a building with nice curb appeal, you know?
It sounds more like a carefully choreographed dance than just, whipping out a checkbook. You need financial smarts, legal awareness, and probably a good dose of intuition too, right?
You're getting the picture. They're the ones who hold the whole acquisition process together, from spotting a good opportunity to sealing the deal. Master negotiators, risk takers, legal eagles. They wear a lot of hats.
So there's a lot more to it than just having an eye for a nice piece of property. Sounds pretty intense.
It definitely is. High stakes, demanding. But when you find that diamond in the rough and it pays off, incredibly rewarding.
And that's what makes actually landing a job in this field such a challenge, right? Because it's so competitive. This is where I'm really curious about RoleCatcher and how they're helping people break in.
Oh, tell me about it. It's like everyone and their cousin wants to be a property acquisitions manager these days. You're fighting tooth and nail just to get your resume noticed.
It's brutal out there. You're competing with people who probably have, MBAs and years of experience. So how does RoleCatcher even begin to level the playing field?
Okay, so they've got this AI, right? But it's not just any AI. This thing is like a job description whisperer. It analyzes those things on a whole other level. We're talking like reading between the lines, picking up on those subtle hints about what the employer actually wants but isn't saying outright.
So it's like having a secret decoder ring for job postings.
Exactly. And here's the best part. Get this. It takes all that intel and compares it to, well, your resume. Like, it'll tell you, hey, you've got experience in X, but they're really looking for Y. It's like having a personal recruiter who knows exactly what the hiring manager is looking for.
That's huge. Because sometimes, even when you have the experience, it's all about how you frame it on paper.
100%. RoleCatcher takes the guesswork out of it. It's like, here are the keywords, here are the skills you should highlight. Go get them, Tiger.
Talk about a confidence booster. Instead of just throwing your resume into the void and hoping for the best, you're like, okay, I'm about to wow them with how perfectly I fit this role.
And it doesn't stop there. They also have these amazing interview prep tools, and they're specifically designed for, you guessed it, property acquisitions manager roles.
Oh man, the interview, that's a whole other beast. No matter how prepared you are, you're going to get hit with those curveball questions.
For sure. But imagine this. You're in the hot seat, and they hit you with the classic, how do you evaluate the financial viability of a property? Now, you could fumble through some generic answer, or you could be like, well, actually, and then whip out some seriously insightful industry-specific knowledge, thanks to RoleCatcher.
It's like having the answer key to the interview, but in a way that doesn't scream, "I cheated."
Right. It gives you that extra edge. They even have AI-powered feedback on your practice sessions, so you can, fine-tune your answers and really nail it.
That's amazing.
Oh.
But let's say you crush the interview, you land the job. Then what? The real estate world is known for being cutthroat, even once you're in. How do you make sure you're not just surviving, but thriving and moving up that ladder?
And that's another area where RoleCatcher really shines. Because they don't just leave you hanging once you've got the job. They map out typical career paths within property acquisitions, from entry level all the way up to like director level.
So you can see, okay, if I start here, these are the potential steps I can take to reach my ultimate goals.
It's all about having that clear vision and understanding what you need to do to get there.
It's like you said earlier, you need that roadmap. If you don't know what the next step is, how can you get there?
Exactly. Especially when you're just starting out, it's so easy to get caught up in the day-to-day and lose sight of the bigger picture. RoleCatcher helps you keep those long-term goals in mind.
Instead of just being like, okay, I'm a property acquisitions manager, cool.
Yeah.
It's more like, all right, I'm on my way to becoming a senior acquisitions manager, and then who knows what.
Right, you start seeing the potential. This role can be a stepping stone to so many different opportunities within real estate. It's not just one straight path.
Okay, so let's say you're a few years in. What are some of the different directions you could go in? I imagine some people specialize.
Absolutely. Maybe you discover you have a knack for, say, sustainable development projects.
Yeah.
Suddenly you're the go-to person for acquiring those eco-friendly properties. Or maybe you're passionate about historical restorations. You can really carve out a niche for yourself.
That makes sense. You're not just a property acquisitions manager. You're the property acquisitions manager for a specific type of property.
Yeah.
That's got to give you an edge.
For sure. Or maybe you realize you're a natural leader. You could end up managing a whole team of acquisition specialists, sharing your knowledge, mentoring them.
So even if you start as an individual contributor, there's potential to move into a leadership role down the line. That's pretty cool.
Definitely. And hey, let's not forget about the entrepreneurial route. You're learning the ins and outs of property acquisition, building your network. You could take that knowledge and become a real estate investor yourself.
Talk about a full circle moment. You start by acquiring properties for others, and then you use that expertise to build your own portfolio.
Exactly. This field is full of possibilities if you're willing to explore them. It's not just a job, it's a launch pad.
I love that. So for anyone listening who's been thinking about dipping their toes into real estate, this could be the perfect place to start.
Absolutely. And with tools like RoleCatcher out there to guide you, there's never been a better time to take the plunge.
We've covered a ton of ground today. We've talked about what property acquisitions managers actually do. We've explored the resources that can help you land your dream job in this competitive field. And we've even looked at the potential career paths you can take once you're in.
It's all about being strategic, right? Knowing your strengths, setting those goals, and going after them.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So there you have it, your deep dive into the exciting world of property acquisitions. We hope this has given you the information and inspiration you need to take your next step.
And remember, in the world of real estate, the only limit is your own ambition.
Until next time, happy hunting.